Okay, welcome back to another video on the Math channel. It's your teacher, Mr. Lim here, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the sine rule. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to know when to use the sine rule, and you'll be able to find an unknown side or angle in a non-right angled triangle using the sine rule. So when do I use the sine rule? We use the sine rule when there are two sides and two angles. Okay, when there are two sides and two angles, that's when we use the sine rule. So here we can see we've got two sides and we have two angles. Here we have two sides and two angles. Okay, so that's when we use the sine rule. Now, how do we find an unknown side or angle using the sine rule? Well, there's two formulas. Well, it's technically just one formula. But when we find an unknown side, we have the side over sine of the angle, the opposite angle, is equal to another side over sine of opposite angle to that side. So we have a look at up here. This x is opposite the 80. They go together. This 60 is opposite the 7. They go together. This question mark is opposite the 6.5. They go together. And this 74 degrees is opposite the 8.2. They go together. So, when finding an unknown side, we have a over sine of capital A is equal to b over sine of capital B. But when we're finding an unknown angle, we just flip it around. We have sine of the angle over A is equal to sine of the angle B over B. So let's have a look at some examples. We want to work out this unknown side here. We want to work out what x is. So because we're finding an unknown side, we put the side at the top. X over sine of 80 is equal to side 7 over sine of 75. So we want to get x by itself. We just multiply both sides by sine of 80. So x is equal to 7 sine of 80 degrees over sine of 75 degrees. And we put that in our calculator. .14 meters. That's in 2 decimal places. Alright, what about finding an unknown angle? So here we've got they match each other and these two match each other. So we have sine theta over 9 is equal to sine of the angle 83 over 10. Therefore, sine of theta has to equal to 9 sine 83 over 10. And so theta has to equal to the inverse sine of that, which is equal to (9 sine 83 over 10). 63.3 degrees. Now, there might be two answers whenever we're finding an unknown angle using the sine rule. Because our calculator only gives us an acute angle, it's possible that the angle could be obtuse. So we just need to double check that. So the other angle that this could be is 180 minus 63.3 degrees. If we were to do 180 minus that, we'll get 116.7 degrees. The question is that possible? We need to double check that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 116.7. So double check. We're going to take our 116.7 and we're going to add the known angle given to us in the question, 83. Now, if that's more than 180 degrees, then this 116.7 is not possible. Okay, there's only one answer. It has to be the 63.3. However, if the answer we get is less than 180, then there are two possible answers and we need to write both of them down. So when we add this to 83, we get 199.7, which is greater than 180. Therefore, 116.7 degrees is not possible. So our only answer is 63.3 degrees. Only possible answer. Okay, so finding an unknown angle is always a more lengthy solution. Let's have a look at another example. So here we've got two angles, two sides. We use the sine rule. So we know that these two pair up, these two pair up, and we start our working out. Because we're finding an unknown side, we put the side at the top over sine of the opposite angle, side at the top over sine of the opposite angle. We want x to be by itself, so we multiply both sides by sine 52. Okay, we just bring it to the top, and we put that in our calculator. 10 sine 52 over sine 84. 7.9. And that's still one decimal place. Okay, here we've got two sides, two angles. They match each other. They match each other. So we'll set up our working. Sine of the angle, because we're finding an angle, we put the angle at the top. Sine of the angle over the opposite side is equal to sine of the angle 70 degrees over opposite side. So sine of theta has to equal to 10 sine of 70 over 12. So theta has to equal to the inverse sine of that 10 sine 70 over 12, which is equal to 10 sine 70 over 12, 51.54 degrees, or 180 minus that, 128.46. But we need to double check. So I'm going to do that over here. Check. 128.46 plus the 70 that's given to us in the question. Let's see what that gives us. 198.46 degrees. Therefore, this is not a possible answer. Only this is. Only answer. Alright. I'll get you to pause the video, have a go with these two questions yourselves, and when you're ready to check your answer, I'll get you to continue playing the video. Okay, so here we've got two sides and two angles, so we use the sine rule. Now this side is opposite that angle, and this side is opposite to this angle. So we need to work out what this one is. So we're going to use the angle sum of the triangle. We know that all three angles need to add to 180. So we do 180 minus 39 and minus 29. We know that that angle is 112 degrees. So we have, because we're finding a side, we put the side at the top. x over sine of 112 is equal to the side over sine of 29. X is therefore equal to 5 sine 112 over sine of 29. Put that in our calculator. We get 9.56 to 2 dp. Okay, here we've got two angles, two sides. So use the sine rule. These two are opposite each other, these two are opposite each other. We're finding an angle, so we put the angle at the top. Sine of theta over the opposite side, 6, is equal to sine of 40 over the opposite side, 4. Therefore, sine of theta has to equal to 6 sine 40 over 4. And so theta has to equal to the inverse sine or arc sine of 6 sine 40 over 4. Put that in our calculator. 6 sine 40 over 4. 74.62 degrees. Or, what's 180 minus that? 105.4. 105.38. Let's just double check to see whether this is a possible answer or not. So I'm going to check 105.38 plus the 40 that's given to us in the question gives us 145.38 degrees. Because this is less than 180 degrees, this is possible. So we're going to leave this as our two possible answers. 74.62 or 105.38 degrees. Okay, I'm going to get you to pause the video, have a go with this last question by yourselves, and when you're ready to check your answers, I'll get you to continue playing the video. Okay, and because we've got two sides and two angles, we're using the sine rule. Because we're finding an unknown angle, we put the angle at the top. Sine of the angle over the opposite side is equal to sine of the angle over opposite side. Therefore, sine of theta has to equal to 22 sine of 28 over 19. And therefore, the angle theta has to equal to the inverse sine of 22 sine 28 over 19. Which is 22 sine 28 over 19, 32.93, or 180 minus that, 147.07. But we need to check. What is 147.07 plus 28? $175.07, which is less than 180 degrees. Therefore, it's possible. Therefore, 147.07 degrees is possible, or is a possible answer. So we leave them here. We don't cross anything out. So now you should know how to use the sine rule to find an unknown side or an unknown angle. And you should know when to use the sine rule, when we have two sides and two angles. And that's it for this video.